Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Bobble Pod. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about measuring marketing ROI, and we've got a really insightful guest with us here today. But first of all, I'm one of your hosts, Claire Daniels, CEO of Trio Media.
And as always, I'm Mani Singh, CEO of Bobble Digital.
Hello everyone, I'm Anushka Kanyan, CEO of Burnwy.
And I'm really delighted to introduce to everyone today Mark Taylor from eSales Hub. Hello, Mark.
Thank you very much for having me on. Great to be here today.
You're welcome. So we've invited Mark on today. So Mark, you've got a really exciting business, which we'd like to know more about. And it's something that you've created through having your own struggles in terms of measuring effectiveness of marketing ROI. And I'd like to get onto that. But first of all, for our listeners, just tell us a little bit more about you. It would be good to understand your background and kind of what's brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. My background has always been in marketing. I've been very fortunate to work with some great brands like Hilton, Hotels, Virgin, Halfords. But my challenge has always been connecting that online click to offline sale. And it was funny because in my first job, which is of course from Regal Hotels, we didn't even have the internet back then. I'm that old. And so I think I still remember the first day that I think I was about 24. I got my first laptop and we actually had this thing called email that we started to use. And really my career has always been working for service-based companies. And the thing with service-based companies is you consume their product, offline. It's not like you're buying a pair of trainers, you want a pair of yellow trainers, therefore you want a size 8. It's relatively easy to make that purchase online. With a service, you've got to consume it yourself offline. And that's really where my career has been. And I've been very lucky to have some great mentors along the way that have taught me how to run a business. So not just from a marketing point of view, but also from a how to make a business profitable, how to make it successful. And, a watershed moment for me was the 2nd of April, 2013, when I was downloading my sales results. I was on holiday at the time with my family. I wanted to see how well our sales results were doing. And they were just disastrous because the company I was working for at the time had operational difficulties. And it was such a frustration that's when I decided that I was going to create eSales Hub, because I'd worked on 3 different private equity ventures. I got to a stage where I had confidence in what I could do as a person and the value that I could bring to a business. And I thought, right, I'm going to do it myself. Wife thought I was absolutely crazy. We're on holiday for a start off, so I couldn't resign straight away.
But don't you feel that's when all the best ideas come, because you've switched off and you've relaxed, and then you're like, I'm going to go back as a new person. I'm going to do all of this.
My team hate it when I go away on holiday, because I take a book. So I'll always take something and learn something whilst away, and then I'll come back with all these brilliant ideas. So the first day back from holiday, everybody kind of cowers in the corner thinking, oh my God, what's Mark going to come up with now? But also it's experiencing different things on holiday. You get a chance to go to places you wouldn't normally go to and relax. And I think when you run your own business, and this is one of the things that I think everybody should run their own business and understand actually how difficult it is. It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah.
When you work for a company, when I worked in marketing, if I go back to my first ever position at Chorus Hotels, I was marketing executive. We had a partnership with Lotus Cars, so I get to go to Lotus every now and again, got involved in their motorsport program. We were sponsoring them. It was all great. We had a finance team, didn't really know what they did. We had a HR team, didn't really know what they did, didn't really care, because I just did marketing and I was, got to drive Lotuses every now and again. So it's only when you run your own business do you really understand, what you've got to do and the hard work you've got to put in, but also the success you get out of it. That, even if I didn't get paid to do what I did, I'd still do it because I love what I do. And that's what I always say to people is find something you love, because you will make it the best because you love it. The money will follow you. You just got to find something you absolutely love that you're willing to put everything into, and you'll get the most out of it.
So tell us what that thing is. Tell us about eSales Hub.
So I set up eSales Hub 7 years ago, and it was out of my frustration of being able to not track, I would say, phone calls from the internet is where it first started. And where it first actually started was in 2009. I was working for Halfords Auto Centres. I was their commercial director, and I remember I was in a branch. And I could hear a phone call. The customer phoned up saying, oh, hi, I'm online right now. I want to book my car in for an MOT today, but you've got no slots. The way the internet or the site worked at the time is that you could only book 2 days in advance. So you couldn't book within the next 48 hours. And the mechanic behind the desk said, yeah, no problem at all. I've got a slot at 5:30. And I'm thinking straight away, that's revenue that I'm not getting, that I'm not attributing to my sales. how can I let this happen? So ever since then, I've been trying to work out how you can connect an offline sale to an online click. And when we first set up eSales Hub, I would say it was more of a consultancy. So I was working with a locksmith company, I was working with a gas installation company, generating leads for them, trying to work out how I could connect that online click to an offline sale when the call, when the transaction comes to the phone line. And initially, I'd written an algorithm to do the process using Google data and phone switch data. And I was doing it manually, so it would take me about a week to actually physically match the search term, so the actual keyword, not the match term, to the actual call, and then to establish, was the call actually a sale, was it a quote? Because what people don't understand is you might generate 4,000 calls from Google Ads, but not all 4,000 are sales calls, and not all 4,000 are going to be sales themselves. So you've really got to understand the difference between the different types of calls that you're driving, because you could be spending a load of money on Google Ads and driving customer service calls, which are having no commercial benefit to your company at all. So for the first 2 years, it was very much, I was trying to work out an algorithm and how would the tech look. I was then very lucky that I met Andy Wigglesworth, who is our CTO, is an amazing coder who took my vision and coded it. I'd love to say I'm great at coding, but I think every time I get involved, I break stuff. So I think he's learnt for the past few years not to let me anywhere near coding. And version 1 was a very simple matching tool. So it matched the keyword to the call. And then over time, we built more functionality to now we use artificial intelligence to actually analyze a call. And the importance of that is, as I said, not every call is a sales call. So if you can find the keyword that is actually driving sales offline for you versus keywords that are just driving quotes or sales or let alone customer service calls, you can optimize your media campaign to drive a massive, a significant improvement in result. We have clients who, and one of them is British Gas. We work with a Dino brand. They get a 50% conversion from the leads that are generated from their Dino.com website. Now, 50% conversion off a lead, you must be crazy. They're used to kind of 9, 10, 11%, 2% if they're lucky. I remember when I was at Halfords, we were happy with 10% conversion, but it's because we're able to understand those keywords that actually drive the right type of behavior online that lead to a sale rather than the wrong type of behavior that leads to customer service. So we're now turnover just over 2.2 million. We've got 16 staff, and I'm delighted to tell you that we've just recently received investment from Maven Capital, 1.65 million investment to take us from.
Congratulations!
Thanks very much. Take us from the 16 employees we have now to 42, and really build on what we've created, because it's not just sales. We also use our AI to analyze recruitment as well, because what we're finding is we drive sales leads for people, and then they'd slow it down because, I've got too many sales now, I need to hire some more people. So we've repurposed our AI to analyze online applications with offline payroll data. So we can analyze, again, the good sources of where you're actually hiring people versus just generating applications. So for me, the benefits of AI really are, it's just doing really big, complex maths equations so much quicker. So that weak process I've just mentioned, using AI takes 0.2 of a second. It's actually quite depressing when I think back to, it used to take me a week to work this one out. I used to be so proud at the end of the week, thinking, yay, I've done the analysis of 1 week's worth of calls for one client in a week. And now we do it every 10 minutes for every single client. It's just, being able to do that amount of analysis that quickly in that detail, us moving into AI 2 years ago was a real game changer for us.
Did you ever see yourself working in tech, when you're in these marketing roles at other organizations, essentially you're at quite a, fast growing, innovative tech company now?
It's funny you should say that. I actually worked for Microsoft for a year and didn't enjoy it. And the reason I didn't enjoy it was because I think with a technology company, a lot of it is around, or what I found at the time was a lot of it was around, building something and then testing it on customers. And it wasn't really that innovative, if you get what I mean. And it was a very big, clunky corporation. It's very hard to have an impact. Whereas with eSales, I generally started off trying to solve a problem. And that's what I find with the technology that works, that's highly profitable, is you're actually solving a problem that somebody has. And I've got a lot of enjoyment out of actually solving that problem and showing clients the return on investment that they are getting. And here's the few changes that you could make to turbocharge your sales. And then when you actually see it happen, and you see the client's reaction to, blimey, we never knew that happened. We've made this change, and suddenly we're generating an extra £4 million in sales. That to me, that's the enjoyment part of the business that I didn't really get when I was working for Microsoft previously.
And so, Mark, what's the vision for the company? You've secured investment. What's the goal?
I think we're just scratching at the very edge of artificial intelligence. We've got a relationship with Sheffield University, who are in the top 5 leaders in the education sector for artificial intelligence and machine learning. And what amazes me is that AI is a predictive model. The more data you put into it, the more it can predict an outcome. So even Amazon are using it to predict, I don't know if you've seen on the rugby, depending on the kicker, where the ball is actually going to go through the posts, right? And so I think for us, we're using artificial intelligence to very much predict the outcome of your media spend. Where are you better spending your media spend to get the greatest return? And I think where we're going to move is understand that a lot more. And certainly from our point of view, we've started to look at compliance applications. So, a company that sells maybe insurance, maybe they're taking inbound calls of people renewing or cancelling or actually taking up the product, try to listen to all of those calls to make sure, you're compliantly selling is actually very, very tough. So if you can use AI to actually analyze your calls to make sure you are compliant, or to fish out those calls that aren't as compliant, from a training point of view, again, it's just another application of our AI analytics tool. But our core business is, and we always start off in lead generation, and we will always have that as part of the business. So we pay for Google, you pay per lead is our proposition, where smaller companies can take advantage of our AI and just pay per lead. We get enterprises like Benson, Sabeds, Europe Car, British Gas who license our technology because they want to use it to manage their own lead generation campaigns. And then from a recruitment point of view, actually rolling out and actually growing our recruitment clients. We sent a client live 3 weeks ago, and they got a 400% increase in applications within a week. And that's for me the power of AI. It's yes, it is a complex calculation at the end of the day, but actually the uses of it are just, from a marketing point of view, absolutely amazing stuff that I just couldn't do 10 years ago, which can now.
Yeah. And I've got to say, I think the system's amazing, the call tracking side of things. So we started talking a couple of weeks ago about you coming on the podcast, and, I was really interested to find out more about what it was that you do. We sat and had a demo of the system, and I also pulled in Manny because, from both of us running digital agencies, in the UK, having a way to measure those calls is just something we've not had before. So when we're reporting on effectiveness of marketing and of advertising spend, and we go, yep, you've maybe had 100 phone calls this month from this campaign, but we actually weren't able to go any further from that in terms of, we could check through Google if the calls have been missed or answered, but once they've been answered, was it a lead, or actually were people calling up customer services or support? We work with a lot of tech companies, and they get a lot of phone calls from their ads, and it's been that niggling feeling of, are these people phoning them because they need support? But actually all we can do is report on that number as a lead. And so being able to bring in that functionality and use the power of the AI to go, well, we can see and categorize the difference between a lead and a technical call and a customer service call is groundbreaking, for our industry. And I'm pleased to say that we've then partnered with you off the back of it, because we see such value in the system that you're offering. Manny, I know you've had a look at it as well.
Yeah, I think with the type of clients, and anyone who's listening to this podcast right now will know that we're coming out of a lockdown. We're not going to go into lockdown. Local businesses are coming back into it, and what was predominantly relied on just online conversions, either a contact form because of how we've all had to work from home. People are going to start going back to the offices. Offices are going to open up. People are going to have to use their phones again, and it's going to change the way we work. We work with a lot of B2B based services, organizations and clients, and measurement and measuring that element